Hey there guys, what's up? It's your buddy mikeyperion here, and I hope you have a great day because for today we are now at episode 21 of our iCraft Season 5, and now we're still here in the business district. Of course, during the last episode we have done, landscaping the surrounding areas of our capital building right over here. So basically, we already have done a lot of planting or gardening, should I say, in this area, so at least we can actually beautify this place. And basically, of course, we also have done on the pathway right over here. So now, it's time to move on. Like I said from the last episode, Ionis will gonna take over on this project here in the Capitol building. So basically, she will gonna start decorating this place, and probably later on, we'll also gonna provide her some materials for her to, of course, do her job here. So basically, of course, like I said, interior designing is not actually my forte, so probably it's the best for her to take over on this job. So, we still got a lot of clutters right over here. Probably we're just gonna move these later on. So basically, for this episode, the reason why we're trying to move this stuff to another location, because we are going to start building our very first office building in our business district, which is planning to make it like our base of operations here in the business district. Of course, that in that way we can actually work efficiently here in our project here in the business district. So basically, that area right over there is going to be some sort of like an office. It's kind of be like a property development office or some sort of like a realtor's office. So I think it's the best name for this project that we're gonna do for this episode. So basically, like I said, this is going to be our base of operations, where we are going to have our storage systems, and as well as, some sort of like those stuff, the smeltery, something that we can actually use while we're doing our project here in the business district. And of course, we still have to do some sort of like planning later on. But anyways, of course, without further ado, let's get started. And the first thing that we're trying to do here is, of course, to clear out this land area right over here, where we are going to build our mid-rise office building for this episode. And of course, we also need to flatten the area. Well, not actually flatten, it's more of like somehow elevated, so at least we can have some sort of like nice landscapes on the sides. And probably, of course, this is just gonna be a medium-sized build, and probably, of course, I'm thinking that we can make this like a corner lot, so probably we'll get make a road going on this direction. So I guess that's pretty much the plan for this building for now. And of course, let's start terraforming this place. And the first thing that I want to terraform is actually this road section on this side. And probably I'm thinking that, of course, this is gonna be a corner lot that we are going to build for today's episode, and probably we're also gonna extend this in the future on that direction. So probably, I guess, I'm still struggling on how we are going to start terraforming this place, but probably we're just gonna prioritize the sides, and then we're gonna try to flatten out the midsection since it's elevated. And I also prioritize this side right over here on the back side of this building. So basically, I'm thinking that we're gonna put a fence, of course, on the side in order to make this place secured and spawn proof as well. And probably, of course, we're gonna try to make a pathway adjacent to these fences, so at least, somehow we can increase the accessibility going around this business district. And I guess, it's the best idea, right? And so we already have made this pathway right here on the back side of this building, or should I say soon to be a building. And I also have expanded this sidewalk right over here up to this area. And of course, later on, we're gonna start paving the street on this direction, going to that direction over there. Probably in the future, of course, we'll still gonna extend this up to that area. And I also have made, of course, this pathway on the back side, and later on, we're gonna terraform this. And now, let's start paving this road, and let's do it. And now, of course, the road is done. So basically, of course, you got a corner lot right over here, which should I say, this building is gonna be a prime development, right? But anyways, of course, the next thing that we need to do is, of course, to prep up the plot or this land area for our building project. And like I said, this is gonna be somehow elevated, so somehow it will be some sort of like a flat pyramid, should I say. But anyways, of course, let's continue working on this. And yes, it's done. It's now done. So I guess the last thing that we have to do here is at least to start laying out, and as well as to spawn proof, and as well as to secure with some fences on the side, so at least we can work easily later on, right? And of course, well, after this, we still need to do some resource gathering for us to, to make the building. Of course, we need some resources, right? But anyways, of course, well, let's first try to secure this place, and as well as to spawn proof it, and well, let's do it. And now I guess we already have done all the necessary preparations for this plot, for this building. And as you can see, well, we got a 3x3 pillars on the side. So most likely this is gonna be a mikey perion pillar, at least on the lobby section of this building. So basically, of course, the ground floor is the lobby, right? But anyways, of course, now it's time to move on. So the next thing that we have to do is to go back to our base, and probably we should take some of this stuff back home and just bring in the stuff that we are going to need to for this build. And probably, of course, well, we still need to organize these clutters though. But anyways, of course, well, let's go back to our base and organize this stuff. So now we're back in our base, and I started smelting some stuff like this clay and iron. So now, well, we're back here at the base, and of course, like I said, we are going to do some resource gathering. And first, we also need to cut down some trees like this dark oak, and probably some birch later on. And probably, what else do we need? Some sand. Of course, we are going to need that for glasses. So where is my yellow shulker? I think it's on the other side. And yeah, okay, this somehow the color is kind of orangey though. But I guess we're gonna need 2 shulkers of these sand. So probably now it's time to hit the desert, and well, let's start gathering some sand. And of course, we're back here in the sound mining spot in the south of our base. And now let's get our inventory full, and there you go. So basically, of course, well, this is how much sand we already have gathered for this season of iCraft. And of course, well, I also moved our safety bunker from there to here because it's getting too far now. And especially that, of course, we keep on gathering some more sand from time to time, especially for our nether hub project. So this is one of the reasons why, well, we have ravaged this place. But anyways, of course, we still need a couple more of this sand, and well, let's continue gathering. Well, we still actually have 2 shulkers of these plain terracottas in our base, but probably it's the best for us to gather 1 more shulker of these, because later on we're gonna use some cyan terracottas on the walls of the building. I think majority of the blocks that we're gonna use are these cyan terracottas. But anyways, of course, I guess this is the last thing, and well, that we need to gather for now. And well, later on, of course, soon enough, we're gonna start building. And I guess we already have prepped up all of the materials that we're gonna need for our building project later on. So basically, we got some stones here, some andesite, some more stones, and some terracottas. And this shulker right over here is actually for Ayon. This for her interior decoration for our capital building. So now, well, let's just repair our pickaxe and some of our tools. So basically, I think there's still 1 more stuff that we're gonna gather. So probably we're gonna need some flowers for Ionis for her interior decoration. So because I actually have made some pots, so I guess of course those pots will need some plants, right, or some flowers. So basically, I guess we should pass by the flower biome near the spawn area before we get to our base. But anyways, of course, well, let's wait for our tools to be repaired, and well, let's go back there. And well, I thought that we got a bed in our ender chest, but apparently I forgot to place a bed in our ender chest. But now, well, we have to craft one, so at least we can skip the night, because this place is totally scary now. But anyways, I'm still looking for the flower biome. I remember there's like a nearby flower biome in our spawn area. Well, actually, we're still in the middle of nowhere. Well, I'm not sure though, but probably, of course, well, let's try to search for that flower biome, and I'll be back. And well, finally, we have found this flower biome. So basically, well, we're just a couple of blocks away where we slept, and I forgot what this flower is called though. I mean, I think this is somehow beautiful. Yeah, so this is called Aleu. I'm not sure what is that in real life. But anyways, of course, we're gonna gather some of these tulips and some other flowers, some beautiful flowers that we can actually put on the pots, flower pots, should I say. But anyways, of course, I guess this is the last thing that we need to gather. And of course, after this, we're gonna be back in the business district to start our building session. And now we're back here in the Capitol building. Of course, we have left, or we are going to leave these materials for Ionis for her interior decoration. So now let's type here interior designing materials. Of course, well, this is only for the interior decorations, right? But anyways, of course, well, let's just leave this side here for so at least she will know. And of course, I guess these are the materials that she'll gonna be using, and hopefully this is, well, enough, right? And now, of course, let's start our building session. So the first thing that I want to do is, of course, to make a flooring for this lobby, because we want to move all of our stuff inside this plot right over here, so at least it will be accessible, right? So first thing, of course, let's lay out the side, so at least we can know up to where we are going to put the floorings, and probably later on we'll also gonna add some more permanent lighting, well, unlike these torches. But anyways, of course, well, let me try to do this flooring and I'll be back. And now we already have moved our shulkers inside our construction site. So basically, of course, we wanted these materials to be accessible, right? But anyways, of course, we also have done our floors right over here, and as well as the layout. So basically, on the B section right over here, this is where we are going to have our elevators. So basically, of course, this is going to be our access going up and down. And basically, on this side, we're going to have the manual elevator. And on this part, we're going to have the boosted elevator. And this one, on the side right over here, is going to be the downward elevator. And on this front side right over here, this is where we are going to have the entrance. So basically, we are going to have a piston door on this section right over here. Of course, we already have our design for that piston door, and on the sides right over here is gonna be some sort of like walkways, which is gonna be open. So now, well, let's start. I think what we need to do first is actually the pillars. So basically, like I said, we are also going to have our very own Mikey pillars, at least for the lobby section of this building. And I'm thinking that for this building, we're gonna have 8-story building for this office building, should I say. So now let's probably we're gonna use some of the stellar bricks and as well as the andesites for the pillars. At least we have some sort of like, you know, diversity in terms of like design, because we already have overused these Mikey perion pillars in our builds, right? So probably I think we haven't used andesites and as well as you know, nether bricks for these pillars. So let's try to first make one over here, and let's grab some regular stones. I think we could use some regular stones. And where did I put our regular stones? I think it's still outside though. Yeah, we still got a bunch of chests right over here where we this is actually the blocks that we have actually removed when we did our terraforming. So now probably it's the best to grab a bunch of these, and let's try to put it inside as well, so at least we can have this accessible, right? But anyways, of course, we basically just need these regular blocks for our fillings, those blocks that are not actually being seen. So basically, of course, this mid section right over here is not actually visible. And of course, we're just gonna use some sea lanterns for us to lighten up these pillars. And I think we should have around 12 around this height. So probably, well, yeah, I guess this lobby height is fine. So now let's try to copy these pillars in all of the sides. And well, I guess this is high enough. So well, let me try to work on these pillars. And now we're actually almost done with these pillars. So basically, I guess we have around 12 of them for this lobby. So now I guess this is looking pretty well so far. I guess, well, we have the contract. So now it's time to work on these water elevators right over here. So basically, of course, this is our access going up and down in our floors, or in our stories of our building. But anyway, so well, let's work on this. And well, I guess this is looking pretty amazing, right? I mean, well, so far, this is the first time that I'm actually doing an elevator lobby for our building. So basically, of course, well, we have 3 of these. So now I I guess the next thing that we have to do is to connect all of the pillars on the top part right over there. So basically, we're gonna try to make some beams, and probably we also need to make this well laden. So probably, of course, we're gonna use a lot of sea lanterns in order for us to emphasize this build, especially during nighttime. So first, let's put some field blocks on this part, and we need to make a cross going to this direction, and of course we're just gonna try to connect all of the pillars somehow, well, some sort of like beams, right? But anyways, of course, let me try to work on this, and I'll be back. And of course, we already have done the horizontal beams on the sides, in all of the sides of the pillars. So basically, I guess now it's time to work on the ceiling first before we actually start, well, covering up our lobbies. So basically, of course, we're gonna have some sort of like very simple design on our ceilings for this area, and probably on the insides, we're gonna use some wood. At least it will be emphasized that it's like interiors, right? So I guess it has that vibe that, you know, whether on the outside we're gonna have some more concrete materials, and on the inside we're gonna have some more sturdy or some sort of like wooden materials, right? But anyways, of course, well, let's try to work on this, and I'll be back. And now we're actually done on the ceiling part of this lobby. So now I guess, well, this is looking pretty awesome, right? I mean, well, it's just a lobby. Well, of course, we have to make it somehow pretty looking nice, right? So now it's time to... Oh my god. Oh jeez, I almost didn't see this guy coming. Wow, that's kind of scary though. But anyways, of course, the next thing that we have to work on is actually the piston door at the main entrance. And of course, I think I already have done that a lot of times now, especially in Taskcraft. So, well, this guy is dead now. But anyways, of course, well, like I said, we're gonna work on the piston door on this section right over here, which is the similar design that we have done in Taskcraft. So basically, of course, yeah, I think I don't need any tutorial on this. Probably you're just gonna, well, revisit those videos, right? But anyway, so, well, let's work on this. And well, here we go. We have this, well, glass sliding door as a main door for our building. So basically, of course, well, this is looking pretty awesome, right? Especially that it's very compact and it's working pretty well. And yeah, well, this door almost got us. But anyways, of course, that will not gonna hurt us. See, right? So basically, of course, this is working fine now. So the last thing that we have to work on this lobby is actually the glass windows or the glass walls in all of the sides of this lobby. But anyway, so, well, let's work on it. And now we're just trying to make sure that this place is actually spawn proof and especially well lit, right? And of course, we don't want that creeper to spawn again inside our lobby. So let's just make sure that we have a lot of these sea lanterns or a lot of lighting inside this building, right? But anyways, of course, well, there's also actually quite a lot of people logged in now in the server, which is totally awesome, right? Especially, of course, well, this community. I'm very proud of these server activity for this iCraft server, right? But anyways, of course, now I guess it's time to move up, and of course, it's time to work on the upper part of this building. Probably, of course, well, we are going to work first on the core of this building, which is actually this elevator lobby, and later on, of course, I'm also going to start making our floorings on the second level for this building. So I guess that's the next thing that we are going to do. Of course, I will still need to do a lot of things for this episode in order for us to finish this build. But anyway, so, well, let's just continue working. And well, now we already have done the core of this building, and probably, well, I actually wanted to finish this building, at least the exterior walls, for this episode, and probably it's the best time for me to do some time lapse. Well, now I actually borrowed the camera account of iCraft, which is actually Luukzilla's. So basically, I guess we're gonna do this in the form of a third person time lapse, which is actually the first time that we're gonna do in this channel. Well, hopefully, well, this will turn out good, right? But anyways, of course, well, let me try to build this building at this exteriors, and let's do it. And now we have done the exterior walls, but basically just the exterior walls. Of course, we still need some floorings for these buildings, right? I mean, well, probably I'm just gonna do that off cam because it's not totally much of interesting to show you guys, and probably, of course, well, it's just gonna be very repetitive, right? But anyways, of course, well, probably on the next episode, we're gonna try to decorate and as well as to, you know, make this building to have certain functions. And like I said, this is going to be our base of operations, right? But anyways, of course, let's try to check this build from the distance. At least the exterior is already done, so at least we can already see on how this building will gonna look like on the outside. And so far, well, this is how it looks like, and well, it's totally looking nice, right? Especially that we have a contemporary or modern architectural style here. So basically, I think this is what most of the building look like nowadays, especially the new ones. And well, and especially that it's, well, it looks, yeah, it's looking totally awesome, right? Especially during nighttime. Well, it's very well lit in, and I think I'm very proud that we have done this on a single episode. Well, of course, it's still not done. Of course, we still have to, you know, put some floorings inside. But of course, like I said, I'm just gonna do that off cam. And basically, I'm totally happy on what we have accomplished so far for this episode. And well, let's also take a look from the ground. So basically, well, this is looking pretty nice, and yet, well, of course, we still got these fences around, and probably I'm just gonna remove that later. So well, so far, here's how it looks like from this angle, which is, I think, the best angle that I could, well, look on, right? But well, like I said, we already have done a lot for this episode. So I think that's it. Well, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment, please leave a like, and make sure to subscribe. This has been Mikey Perion, and I'll see you guys, well, next time.